You lose muscle every time you cut. Most guys do, because they're picking the wrong rate of loss, eating nowhere near enough protein, and treating refeed days like cheat days. I just finished 8 weeks of aggressive fat loss. I've dropped 5 kilos of body fat and I haven't lost an ounce of muscle. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly what I did differently. But first, we've got to look at the default approach that most lads take when it comes to fat loss. They give themselves well too much body fat to lose in such a short period of time. To actually achieve this rate of loss, they have to put themselves in a very big deficit, over 1,000 calories per day. And as a result, their protein then comes down at the same point as well, which is the biggest building block for muscle, and it's going to help you retain a lot of muscle throughout a cut. Layering in on top of that comes in a shitload of cardio because they're trying to catch up. And this then drives fatigue through the roof. Because fatigue is so high, that has a negative impact on training. They're going into training sessions thinking they need to lower down the weights and up the rep ranges because that's going to burn body fat. Training performance dives off a cliff. They take no refeeds at any point during their cut, maybe just one little blowout, which turns into an absolute cheat day. And because they're not tracking anything, they can't measure what they're doing and they can't manage it. It's all complete guesswork going off feel, and that is changing every day and week to week. I know all of this because I used to make these mistakes myself. And when I used to cut, I used to sacrifice muscle mass. I could see it in my physique, I could see it in my logbook, and that is exactly what this video is going to help you with if you watch to the end. So make sure you do. The first thing you need to do is map out your rate of loss. This is how much weight you're going to target to lose each week. How I would do this is look at where you need to be by a certain date, whether you've got a holiday, whether you've got a certain wedding or anything like that that you need to be in shape for, that is the end goal of your fat loss phase. And then calculate how much body fat you've got to lose. Now, most guys massively undercook this, 50% minimum. Find the body weight that you think you need to be at, add a couple of kilos on top of that, and then work that back from where you're at now. How many weeks have you got? Proactive planning will allow you to achieve a sustainable rate of loss. Now, I'd recommend anywhere from 0.5 to 1% of your total body weight loss per week. The higher in body fat you are, the higher end of that scale you can go. As you start to lean out, as you start to get down to 12, 10% body fat, this is where you want to slow that rate of loss down because you're already highly fatigued. So you don't need to put yourself in an even worse position because that is a recipe for disaster. Take me, for example, when I was setting up my photo shoot prep, I knew I had roughly about 5 kilos to lose from where I'd been in the last photo shoots. So that puts me at 5 kilos in 8 weeks, which is a very sustainable rate of loss for me. And because I already started from a fairly lean point, I knew that I couldn't go super aggressive with this or I would be risking a lot of muscle, which I didn't want to do. Because I gave myself plenty of time, I've been able to have 4 or 5 refeed days over the course of this, which has massively helped maintain training performance, energy, and just enjoyability of the thing in total. The key here is picking a rate of loss that you can actually sustain. Of course, you can go harder out the blocks for the first couple of weeks, and this is something I really like to do with my clients when motivation's high and you're very fresh. But as you get further down, your ability to actually adhere to that might get worse off. So take that into account when you are planning out your total timeline and your rate of loss you need to achieve. And most guys, protein is way too fucking low. Forget what all of the normal metrics say where you need to eat 1.5 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. That's fucking bullshit. I've been eating 3 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, and I like this higher approach. Having high protein in your diet isn't only just gonna help with actually the thermic effect of food and burning some more calories through digestion, but it's gonna be so important when it comes down to retaining muscle. If you look at any big bodybuilders, they're eating a high amount of protein relative to their body weight, 2.5 to 3 to 4 times their body weight. Now, I'm not saying you've got to take that extreme, but as a minimum, you want to be eating 150 grams of protein a day from quality protein sources, not counting protein that you're getting in bread and pastas and rices, because they are not complete protein sources and they will not help you retain muscle. I recommend splitting this down into 3 to 5 servings equally spread throughout the day as best as you can. It's not the end of the world, but it's certainly going to help. Now, as your food comes down and as you bring calories down, the only real variable you're going to want to manipulate too much out of protein, carbs and fats is going to be the carbs. Fat's going to want to stay relatively high, especially if you're natural, and then protein isn't really going to want to move too much. But obviously, as the carbs come down, the ratio of the protein in the meals is going to have to increase. So just account for that. I've been using some carb-free meals, like egg white omelets in the morning, chicken salads, that sort of thing, to still get a decent amount of protein in. I've been hitting 270 grams of protein on my rest days on 2,000 calories, so it's very fucking doable. The key to actually hitting your protein on a consistent basis is going to come down to planning and meal prep. If you know you've got 200 grams to hit and you have 4 meals a day, that's roughly going to be 50 grams spread throughout the day. Don't not have protein in your breakfast and leave yourself a shitload to catch up on later because you just won't hit it and you'll fall short. Planning is everything. As much as you can optimize your diet, your timelines, your rate of loss for retaining muscle, where is it really going to be retained? In the fucking gym. The stuff that built that muscle in the first place is going to be the stuff that keeps it throughout your cut. This is the biggest mistake guys make. They think that increasing their rep ranges is going to burn more calories and help them lose body fat. Training is not something that we do to burn body fat. Training is something we do to build and retain muscle mass. Yes, you're going to burn some calories in those sessions, but you shouldn't be trying to manipulate your training to burn more calories and get more output. That's what steps, cardio, and your nutrition are going to help control your energy balance. Training is the signal. You should be logging your training when you are cutting, especially so you can see patterns. You can see if your training performance is diving down. Is your rate of loss too aggressive? Is it time for a refeed? Or are you just doing too much in the gym? Because your ability to recover will diminish the leaner you get throughout a cut compared to what it was when maybe you was on 1,000 more calories a day in a growing phase. Take my leg day, for example. For the first couple of weeks, I was continuing to see performance improvements. As I got leaner, this then started to hold and then started to actually drop a little bit. We took 2 sets of quads out on my leg day, and then my performance started increasing again. Just because you're not sore doesn't mean you're fully recovering from your sessions. That's why logbooking is so important. When you're walking in the gym, don't just go in there and think like a little bitch and think, oh, I'm cutting, I'm not gonna be as strong. This is fucking everything, and your mindset will carry you so much further. You still wanna be going in and attacking those sets. Your logbook is going to be a way of reporting what actually happened. If you do see performance diving and your rate of loss has been quite aggressive, it might be time for a refeed day. I always recommend prioritizing clean carbohydrates and not just making it a cheat day so you can get the maximum replenishment of your glycogen stores, which is going to help keep that training performance as you cut. Taking these at intervals of 10 to 14 days is generally a pretty good measure if you've got the float in your timescales to allow it. If you're already behind and chasing your tail, you fucked it anyway. You ain't going to be able to use refeeds like you could have been if you gave yourself more time from the start. Now, before we move on to the next point, this is where coaching can massively help you. I have put together 4 weeks free coaching, and there's a link in the bio where you can get signed up. Within that, we're going to show you how to set your nutrition up to retain muscle mass. Training programs that you can follow that give you some structure and help you log that. And there's an accountability tracker in there, so you can actually be held accountable for this. You can log it, you can see all the data in front of you and know when to make the right adjustments at the right time. So click the link in the bio, it's completely free. All you need to do is put your email address in there. I'll send it over to you along with a Loom video talking you through it so you understand it from the start. Now, this is the bit that not a lot of guys want to hear, but the reason you think you might be losing muscle mass when you're cutting isn't probably what you're thinking. It's because you might not have as much muscle as you actually think. I see this a lot when guys have been on big gaining phases and they feel massive. They're filling out their t-shirts better than ever. They're seeing their muscles and the silhouette of their physique. But when they come down to cut, they feel quite skinny as they get towards the end of the cut. This is because you didn't have as much muscle as you wanted to have in the first place. And it's a pretty brutal thing to have to realize at the start. But this isn't down to your cut. This is down to the work you haven't done outside your cut. You might be really early on in your journey, or you might have just pushed your gaining phase too quickly and put on so much body fat you thought it was muscle. But when you're nice and lean, when you can see your abs coming through, when you're 15% body fat and down, you can see what you've actually got. This is going to help you identify strengths, weaknesses in your physique, areas you want to then bring up in a gaining phase. Some of the easiest muscle you will build is post-diet. When you're reverse diet, your body is very lean, it is very responsive, and you give yourself a fucking huge runway to go on a 6, 8, 12-month gaining phase where you can make considerable improvements to your physique. So don't look at it as a negative, look at it as a starting point for what comes next and the improvements that you can chase. Now, I'll be honest, I've done these phases over and over again. I've done 6, 7 gaining phases, got lean every single time before starting them, and what a fucking difference it makes. If we pull back to where I'm at now on my photo shoot prep, week 8, started at 93 kilos, now down as a new low weigh-in of 88.3 kilos. So just under 5 kilos lost in that period of time. The strength of my training performance has held across the majority of the major lifts. There's always going to be 1 or 2 that will give way for me. It's always on push days. Those exercises always seem to be the first ones that go. But across the board, my training performance has held, if not increased in some areas still. Body composition has improved massively. Waist is really tightening up now. There's a lot of vascularity coming through. And I actually look bigger now than when I started. This is one of the secret hacks, lads. If you want to look bigger for summer, lose 5 kilos. You can't gain 5 kilos of muscle mass before summer now, but you can certainly lose 5, 10 kilos of body fat, and it will make you look bigger because your muscles are more defined. But now I'm in a really good position. Fat loss is pretty much wrapped up. So I'm going into the last couple of days of fat loss for myself now, and then we'll be hitting peak week ahead of my photo shoot, which I've got next week. There will be a video coming out on peak week showing you exactly what I'm doing to take my physique now and get that extra couple of % out of it by manipulating things like water, sodium, carbohydrates, fats, and rest. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you watch that, because the photo shoot video is going to be a fucking epic one, and so is the 10,000 calorie challenge after that. Everything in today's video that we've covered isn't just ripped out of a textbook. This is coaching theory. This is from my own experiences with my physique and working with over 500 clients over the last 4 years. So if you want to get a taster of that, there is 4 weeks free coaching below. Have a look on that. It's the best thing you'll do from this video. It will give you structure, it will give you direction, and it will help you understand these things in a bit more detail than I can get across in one YouTube video. And of course, if you want it to be fully tailored to you from the start, I do have one-to-one coaching spaces available. These are my premium one-to-one spaces, and that is where the real progress is made. We have a lot more hands-on time, Zoom calls, that sort of stuff with each other. But thank you for watching if you made it this far to the video. Hopefully you now understand what you need to do next time you go into the cut and how you can measure if you're retaining your muscle mass or not. Exciting, a couple of videos coming up on the channel with the prep series stuff coming towards an end, the photo shoot. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you drop me a subscribe, and thank you for watching. Catch you in the next one.